The next question we're going to address is there a difference between an infographic or a data visualization? Well, it depends on who you ask. There are some experts who think the terms are interchangeable. However, though, we're going to differentiate between the two in the following ways. Let's start with the infographic first. An infographic typically has an objective. They want to present information. They don't really want to go too deeply into analyzing that information. There's definitely an agenda in an infographic. They're trying to sway you to a particular opinion. It's really best used when you want to guide the conclusion of your audience. And very often they're handcrafted. Now, this doesn't mean that they're all hand-drawn. It simply means that they were designed. Maybe it was by a computer, but there was definitely an agenda, there was definitely a layout, there's definitely a premeditated flow. Now, data visualization is really more about allowing the audience to draw their own conclusion. They're usually automatically generated, although it might involve a very sophisticated computer program to make that happen. It usually requires a lot more work by the user in order to establish a pattern or find some sort of insight. Now, when we evaluated your tobacco visualization, we used several guiding principles to help determine if you were meeting the standards, exceeding the standards, or whether you were still in the earlier stages of developing standards, or maybe you didn't meet the standards at all. So take a moment to preview over the categories that you see on the screen right now, so that the next time you encounter another data visualization, you'll have a better idea of what the expectations are in order to grow and move to the next standard. Now, in order to determine where exactly you fit into these four categories, we looked at three different things. The first section dealt with, could you identify the tool type and provide us with some sort of general applications? What could be accomplished by using this tool? So we were looking for data visualization here. Then we were looking for, did you know what a data visualization tool could be used for? Like, for example, seeing a pattern, a trend, making observations that weren't maybe necessarily easy to see. Could you make predictions about future needs or resources? Could you actually generate some additional questions like, I wonder why this happened? The second section was the big picture overview, and this is where we actually wanted you to go into details about the tobacco visualization. So did you come up with something that was fairly obvious, didn't really go into a lot of detail? Or did you actually take time, look at the tool, really come up with a statement, a pattern that maybe wasn't so easily seen? Did you actually make an observation, but then also talk about additional questions? This is what we looked at in section number 2. In section number 3, we were just basically seeing, could you use the tool properly? So we gave you some multiple choice questions here, and your rating was determined based on how many of those questions you could accurately answer. Now here is the tobacco visualization. And the first thing that we want to point out to you is there's a lot of different ways to manipulate the data here. Like, for example, you could have taken it from a worldwide view to a specific country view. You could have also maybe looked at males only, females only. So there were a lot of different ways to manipulate the data. For example, you could have gotten a screen that looks something like this, and then you could have also looked at age ranges. So make sure that you experiment a little bit with the next visualization to make sure that you're actually getting the data that you want. In addition, it took some practice to learn how to use the tool on the iPad. And it would be the same way on the computer. So like, for example, when you're adjusting the years, you could pause it so that you could sort of freeze it on a particular element. So take some time to actually practice a little bit with the tool because it's a skill. It really does take a few times for you to get the hang of it.